So in your book, you make it pretty clear that you feel you were wronged by the headlines. And you look at the headlines and you never said that you were okay with child pornography, as some of the headlines have said. So I just want to be clear, there's no direct harm here, but pornographers, they need viewers or they'd be out of business. Are you saying there's no harm in viewing child pornography?
Well, I was trying to differentiate levels of harm. This wasn't the right forum to do it. I didn't have an opportunity to make any distinctions or explain what I was thinking. Obviously, there are levels of harm. Remember that in much child pornography, there actually is no human subject that could be harmed. If you're talking about cartoons or porn made with adult actors, consenting adult actors, or imaginative stories, there actually is no child that could conceivably be harmed by that, and yet the law again has a mandatory imprisonment for that.
You waded into very dangerous territory here, and I guess people know your background. You're a professor, you've been a senior advisor to a man who's now Prime Minister. I guess the question is, how could somebody who's so smart be so tone deaf?
Yeah, obviously what I said in those circumstances was quite crude and needs to be much more refined, which I've tried to do in this book.
In your book, you talk about how this party, and I guess Harper in particular, has a habit of treating people as disposable, and that you were part of that, that Mike Duffy, Pam Wallen, even Nigel Wright were part of that. Is that unusual? Is he different from other national leaders?
Well, no, not really. I think all parties dispose of people. Justin Trudeau disposed of an entire Senate caucus, at least nominally. He's also disposed of some candidates for nomination in the Liberal Party. So sure, you have to have the ability to drop people, but there's a cost. You know, you keep disposing of people, it becomes harder and harder to get people to work for you. You know, ask yourself now, why would any person of outstanding achievement in the business world want to go to work in the PMO?
After the Nigel Wright.
After the Nigel, see what the harm to Nigel's career. We don't know the ending of the story yet, but certainly in the short run, there's been a lot of harm to his reputation and career.
Well, you talk about the ruthlessness being a secret of the party's success, but now it's a cancer eating at the whole movement. What do you mean?
Well, disposing of people is part of the ruthlessness. Also picking fights with external authorities.
Well, we've seen now that there's this fight with the Supreme Court.
Yeah, this is part of the pattern against which I warned in my book. And think of the number of open fights that Mr. Harper has had now with outside authority figures in our politics. Chief Justice of Canada is obviously the most important one, but Parliamentary Budget Officer, the Chief Electoral Officer, the heads of several regulatory commissions. I mean, other prime ministers in the past have also had spats with other figures, but I think that it's been pretty frequent in this administration.
What drives that? Is that strategic, or is he just mad?
Well, I fear the latter too often. I fear that I'm not saying it's never strategic. I think maybe sometimes it is, but I think I'm seeing a kind of a passion in some of these cases. And that really, I think, is bad politics for the practitioner. I mean, like right now, Mr. Harper has a record of political achievement that would be eminently saleable to people who would think about voting Conservative. He's going to balance the budget. He's got promises of tax reductions in the future. Like, all this is a terrific platform for re-election for a Conservative Party. Why do you need headlines about fighting with the Chief Justice of Canada or fighting with Elections Canada? What does this add?
So why is he doing it then?
Well, that's what I pointed out in my book, that he's a complex person. He has many brilliant talents, and he's been a very effective political leader, but he does have this more difficult side, which sometimes leads him to do things that get in his own way. So you get, casualties along the way, like myself, but that hardly matters in the big picture.
You write in your book that Harper can be suspicious, secretive, vindictive, falling into white-hot rage over meaningless trivia, at other times falling into week-long depressions in which he's incapable of making decisions.
Mm-hmm.
You saw that?
Yes. Yeah, but I'm not going to go into details. These were things that I saw in the years when I worked for him, but I'm not going to give chapter and verse. Now, this was 10 years ago. Maybe he's different. I think he touched us all when he said at Jim Flaherty's funeral that, Jim could make, his enemies would like Jim. He said, I can't even make my friends like me. I'm sure that this was an authentic insight on his part, what touched me when I read it. So, he's so complicated and has these different facets.
The other very strong or remarkable quote in your book about Stephen Harper is that you say he has a dark, almost Nixonian side, that he believes in playing politics right up to the edge of the rules, which inevitably means some team members will step across ethical or legal lines in their desire to win for the boss. Mm-hmm. What do you mean by that?
Well, I want to be clear. I never ever saw him set out to break a law. He always wanted to play politics, is what I saw. I mean, who knows what other people claim to have seen. But what I saw, he was always within the law. But at the same time, he would, and I admired it at the time. I thought it was right, and I guess I still do. He would strategize to take advantage of what the rules allowed. And I thought, well, okay, that's how you have to play it. It's a tough game, and other parties are doing it to you, and so you have to take advantage of it. But there is a risk.
So when you talk about the Nixonian side, I mean, Nixon was known for a lot of things, but one of them was dirty tricks.
Yeah.
Are you worried about dirty tricks within your party?
No, not the illegal ones, no. And if that's what people interpret Nixonian as, I interpret it somewhat differently, I guess. To me, Nixon is often called the most intelligent president we've ever had. But he was brooding, and his life, maybe his character, maybe his genes had made him suspicious of others. So there were some personal similarities.
To Harper?
Yeah, that's what I had in mind, but not the breaking of laws, no. Because I have to say, I've never seen Mr. Harper do that, and I don't think he would.
But you say that you're worried that others around him might feel inspired.
Yeah. You got a circle of people, and the theme of the game is hardball. Somebody might go off the rails at some time, but again,
has that happened?
Well, what happened in Guelph
with the robocall?
Yeah, where there clearly was something. There's an example of something went wrong. Now, directly inspired by Mr. Harper? No, it was a local campaign. He wouldn't have any contact with that at all.
I don't imagine Stephen Harper likes the comparison to Richard Nixon. Is there any sour grapes or payback here? He did cast you to the wolves.
Well, I'm not looking for a flame war with the PMO. I had put what I put in the book because I thought it had some explanatory value for what happened in my case. I thought I wouldn't have put it in if I thought it was irrelevant to the story. So I made some comments that I thought were relevant to the story.